Is the Tomb King's tech tree even more awesome in patch 6.3? Let's get down to brass tacks quickly. It took me a hard battle with early Katep to access the tree properly because for him, it took 250 canonical jars to even access a new dynasty, and then it's 10 turns to finish unlocking it properly. The jars are paid up front. Jar rewards were not increased by the early missions, so your difference is made up through fighting, but it's Total War is the literal and figurative name of the game. When I finish those 10 turns, unlocking Wisdom of the First Dynasty will, beyond unlocking other techs, give -1 build time for defensive buildings. I don't think I ever finished videos on all the special Dynasty Lords, but I'll get to them at some later time. It'll take 500 jars to get Wakaf, a Lich Priest, a Tomb Prince, and a Necrotech walked into a bar, and none of them require gold to recruit anymore. It's 250 canonical jars for each. This is new, and frankly is better, because your gold is precious. That's what you get Caskets of Souls with. Now, when I paid the 250 jars for patronage of Wakaf, there were 2 turns listed on the entry, but my campaign was truly cursed. I lost 2 settlements to the Portal Wakes, because I had a Chaos Portal that I didn't even know about because I didn't know that was a thing yet, so that actually cost me research points. So it slid to 3 turns. So far as I've tested, canonical jars are not spent until the end turn. So you can change your mind regarding which hero to unlock or which dynasty to research until you end the turn. My second test campaign had a god-tier unusual location instead, by the way. Hell with losing settlements in an already hard region, as Tomb Kings. At the bottom of the dynasty indicator is a new thing, and this is for each of the dynasties. Here, it was 2 turns for me once I researched the first dynasty in both senses. Unrelenting Devotion. This gives vigor loss reduction -25%, so less fatigue in battle, and recruit rank +2 for Nehekara warriors, skeleton spearmen, and chariot units. Proclamation of the First Dynasty, which is what has actual gold required, 2500 to be specific, but also 3 turns to research, at least for me at that point. It may vary. Campaign movement range +10%, construction cost -5% for all buildings, and Ushabti from Realm of Souls in battle can be summoned an additional +1 in battle, provided you survive that long. That is interesting, because that mechanic has been stuck at 1 forever and ever. But this is a prerequisite for patronage of the First Dynasty, another 2500 gold, and more turns sunk, which has the effect of +2 unit capacity for Nehekara warriors, skeleton chariots, and skeleton archer chariots. Now for how the text changed. The names appear identical, but the effects are not necessarily the same. Runic inscriptions, and all 3 of these took 5 turns to recruit from the same state I relayed earlier, with 1 province owned before I started losing settlements, speed +10% for melee infantry, and charge bonus +10 flat for Nehekara warriors, skeleton spearmen, and chariot units. Chariots can use it, sure, but taking the completely putrid charge bonus of skeleton spearmen and adding 10 flat to it is a big change. The ossuary dirge adds +5 melee attack and +5 melee defense to the same units. As in, yes it includes chariots, yes it includes your trash skeleton warriors and spearmen. That's new. First Dynasty plans. Grants armor +10 and +10% weapon strength to the same units, suddenly putting skeleton frontline units on par with starting Empire State melee troops. Okay then, how about the second dynasty? The unlock itself provides growth +15 on top of the army capacity unlock and -20 research rate. The research penalty will be the same for all these dynasty unlocks. Rakaf requires 500 jars as usual. I will stop mentioning this. Plus whatever time it takes. The unit unlocks follow the same principles as before. There's no more randomness involved. Ageless Colossi at the bottom provides restock to Bone Giant units, which is highly amusing. Splash attack power +20% to Bone Giants, and speed +10% to Bone Giants. As I write this, I'm not sure what the splash means, if it means melee or ranged or what. Proclamation of the Second Dynasty provides -10% to cavalry building construction cost, and post-battle loot +10% forever. Patronage provides +1 unit capacity for Bone Giants, +2 capacity for Nehekara Horsemen, Skeleton Horsemen, and Skeleton Horse Archers. The Quickening now provides charge bonus +10 flat to Skeleton Horsemen and Nehekaran Horsemen. Ammunition +15%, and reload time reduction 10% for skeleton archers and horse archers. Nomad Stalk adds plus 5 melee attack and defense to skeleton and Nagaran horsemen, and plus 20% unit mass for the same, making them more effective at crashing into enemy lines. Bone Edifice adds plus 15 armor for skeleton archers and all horsemen units, melee attack plus 5 for bone giants, ward save 10% for bone giants, and missile strength plus 10% for the skeleton archers and horse archers. For the third dynasty, corruption minus 5 for all provinces is the special bonus, and I could have used this in my failed Katep campaign with all that chaos corruption. Tireless scavenging provides plus 1 uses for death from above for the Carrion Regiment of Renown. That's interesting. And perfect vigor for Carrion and Tomb Scorpions. Well, the latter can really use it. Proclamation of the Third Dynasty is construction cost minus 10% for main settlement buildings, control plus 2 globally, and income from those main settlement buildings plus 10%. Patronage provides plus 2 unit capacity for Carrion, Sepulchral Stalkers, and Tomb Scorpions. Boon of Ulatep provides melee defense plus 5 for Carrion, armor piercing per melee hit plus 5 for Carrion, and charge bonus plus 10 flat for Carrion. Maybe they're less bottom feeders of the entire game now, we shall see. The Ritual of Sokoth provides Tomb Scorpions with speed plus 15%, melee attack plus 5, and melee defense plus 5. Lish Administrators give Sepulchral Stalkers armor plus 10, melee attack plus 5, and melee defense plus 5. It's solid, and there's nothing bad I'm going to say about this. Wisdom of the Fourth Dynasty comes with plus 10 vampiric corruption generally, and it's in red, so it's a debuff. That's interesting, especially in light of the previous dynasty. The bottom tech, Magical Loci, shaves 15% off cooldown for the Higher Titans bound spells, and provides global plus 10 leadership when fighting armies that spread corruption. There's a lot of those. Proclamation of the Fourth Dynasty gives construction cost minus 10% for walls, garrison, estate, and citadel buildings, some of your costliest. Ambush success chance plus 10%, and income from sacking and looting settlements plus 10%. Very nice. Patronage provides unit capacity plus 1 for Higher Titans globally, and plus 2 for Tomb Guard, both types globally. Pride in Service gives global melee attack and melee defense plus 5 for Embedded Heroes, all of them, and Tomb Guard, all variants. Dark Brotherhood gives plus 5 melee attack and melee defense, and plus 10% ward save for Higher Titan units. Stronger Binding provides plus 10 armor and plus 10% weapon strength to Tomb Guard and Higher Titan units. Wisdom of the Fifth Dynasty slaps on plus 2 control globally. Coiling Alacrity at the bottom, and the bottom ones are all new, provides Vanguard deployment to all Necropolis Knights and to Sepulchral Stalker units. And the same receive Wayfarer, which grants Strider and plus 200% acceleration and deceleration. I know someone told me recently Strider had a benefit I didn't know about, but it's good stuff regardless. The Proclamation of the Fifth Dynasty reduces construction cost 10% for income, growth, and public order buildings, and those don't cost much at first, but you're going to build a lot of them. It also offers blanket recruit rank plus 1 and plus 10% gold from income buildings. Again, enough of them, and this adds up. The Patronage gives plus 2 unit capacity to both kinds of Necropolis Knights and Screaming Skull catapults. That's nice, people want more of those. Ancient Battle Sites. Okay, this is cute. It provides a 33% missile block chance for Caskets of Souls, including if you're mounted on one, which I think only applies to one guy currently, and gives the same units and one mount 360-degree missile block chance. Thing is, this instantly makes any items that raise missile block chance highly relevant, because everyone wants to shoot these things. Anyway, beyond that, ammunition plus 20% and reload time reduction 15% for Caskets of Souls and Screaming Skull catapults. Cool. I remind, Caskets of Souls now actually benefit from redline skills. Invocation of Kuath is plus 5 melee attack and melee defense for Necropolis Knights units. I don't think it changed any, and they're strong, especially after Coiled Alacrity, so this is fine. Ancient Quarries adds armor plus 10 to Necropolis Knights, weapon strength plus 10% for the same, and plus 10% missile strength for Caskets of Souls and Screaming Skull catapults. The Sixth Dynasty also adds Vampiric Corruption plus 10. That has a lot of campaign implications, but Tomb Kings don't actually suffer attrition damage from Vampiric Corruption. If you own one minor settlement in some random province and has plus 20 vampiric corruption for the province, everyone else will notice that pretty fast. Hearts of Stone for the bottom tech is plus 5% health to all characters, immunity to flanking for all characters, mounted or not, and leadership plus 10 to constructs, keeping them from becoming rock dust as quickly. Now, all characters means lords as well, not just heroes. Proclamation of the 6th Dynasty grants construction cost minus 10% for construct buildings specifically, grants local recruitment capacity plus 1 faction-wide, and Winds of Magic reserves plus 5 faction-wide. Clothed in the Divine is your Ushabti tech, plus 5 melee attack and melee defense to all variants, weapon strength plus 10% also, and reload time reduction 10% to great bows to make them even deadlier. Underworld Gate grants armor plus 10 to Necrosphinx units, plus 5 melee attack and defense for the same. The Lost Gold of Alcarad gives armor plus 10 to War Kitties, or Chemian War Sphinx units, plus 5 melee defense to the same, and plus 15% missile strength for the plinking archers up top. The Heralds were changed to 500 canopic jars each, and I'm not seeing the cost for the Heralds empowered in an early campaign, but when you do get there, it's army capacity plus 2, corruption minus 4 globally, global recruitment capacity plus 3, and global recruitment duration minus 1. And I don't remember the faction offering any other way to get global benefits. So, this wraps up our deep dive into how the techs work, and the bottom line is that passive play is punished in the long haul, though it may be rewarded in the short term to some extent. You just plain need to get lots of jars and lots of stuff happening. There's a lot here. The new techs are spicy. The vampiric corruption is edgy. But having to pay both time and jars means it's also punishing you in other ways, and you really need to try and crank research up through conquest and stuff. Take care and have fun unearthing secrets of the past, and using them to conquer the future.